The betting strategy I'm about to show you in this video works by creating a positive expected value situation, also known as positive EV. This strategy uses a mathematical equation to give us that positive expected value, and I'll also explain all the odds, all the numbers, the stakes and the potential returns that this strategy can bring. Now, before we take a deep dive into the strategy, it's worth noting down what expected value actually means. Essentially, it's just the expectation or the average over a long period of time. So if we turn that into positive expected value in a betting context, we're going to be making money over a long period of time. Expected value plays out and it matches our actual value. Expected value and actual value are different. The red line is the EV, as you can see on the right, it says EV, and the blue line is the profit and loss, otherwise known as the actual value. And as you can see, the variance of the actual value is going up, it's going down, but eventually it does meet the expected value line. Over on the left hand side, the numbers going up and down is the bankroll. So start off at nothing and end up at 6,000, and all the numbers going across the bottom is the number of bets being placed. So as you can see, the more bets, the more likely we're going to reach the expected value line. This strategy can definitely be compared to those card counting who are also following expected value and their actual value differs. These guys, it's very well known that these guys make a lot of money, especially the big players, and they only have a 1 to 2% edge. And they're still very, very profitable, although these guys are going on bigger downswings. But if you can hack the variance, they're eventually coming up and meeting their expected value line. So now we've clarified all of that, what we're going to be doing is taking the same principle of positive expected value and applying it to an online bookmaker. Okay, so the strategy we will be covering then is called the extra place strategy. In front of me is a promotion from a bookmaker, in this case Coral, where they are paying 4 places on a race that would usually be paying 3 places. Now, the extra place strategy consists of placing a bet with the bookmaker each way, which means betting on the win and for it to place. A lot of people already know about the extra place strategy. However, what I will say, in this video I will be going into a little bit more about the implied odds and how you might actually be missing opportunities that are right in front of you. I will also show some different variants of the extra places strategy you can take, how you can hit it from a different angle. The chances are you already know how an each way bet works. However, for those that don't know how to place one, we're on Bet365 just now. Just going to any random race here. Once you've identified your horse that's profitable, you'll click on it, you'll pop in your stake, let's just say a tenner for simplicity, and then you'll tick this box here which says each way. Now what that does is £10 then turns into £20. The reason for that is very simple. As you can see here, 10 each way at the top of the screen. Each way splits that into 2 bets, so that's 10 on the win and 10 on the place, which equals a £20 bet in total. The bookmakers always win. How many times have you heard that? Probably over 1 million. And yes, to some extent that's very true. The odds are definitely in the bookmakers' favour, and they have been for forever, but there are ways to shift the odds into your favour. I mean, bookmaking has been about for ages. I mean, if you've ever watched the Peaky Blinders, you'll know that the Shelby family do very well, to say the least, in their bookmaking venture. And bookmakers, some of them obviously do go bust, but the majority, do very well just by simply having the odds in their favour. Yes, they're not going to win all the time, but by having the odds in their favour mathematically, they're going to be profitable. Now, knowing how to place it, sort of off topic there, but But to get back on topic, knowing how to place an each way bet's all fine and well. But how do you put the odds in your favour? Now, to do that, you're going to need an exchange, and you're going to need to lay off some of the liability at an exchange. Now, let me explain a little bit more by heading over onto my computer and showing you how to actually locate these bets and showing you how they work. Moving on to this computer screen then, you can see in front of me how exactly the mathematics breaks down. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to run through this. I've created a table here, which is an example of a horse 10 each. We're betting 10 each way at back odds of 7. We've got the bookmaker and the exchange here. So let's go through this. If the horse was to win at back odds of 7, we'll be winning £60 on the win portion, and we'll be winning £12 on the place portion. On the exchange, on our lay bets, which means betting against the horse to win, that will lose because the horse actually won. So we'd be losing £61.18, and we'd also be losing £11 because it has also placed. That results in a net loss then of 18p. Moving on to if the horse loses, you'll be losing £10 on the win and £10 on the place. On the exchange, you'll be winning £9 and winning £11. So that's break even. So there's no risk if it was to lose. There's also no risk if it was to place. You'd be losing £10 because the horse hasn't won. You'll be gaining £12 because it has placed, and you'll be gaining £9 on the exchange because it's not won, and you'll be losing £11 because it did actually place. So that's also breaking even. So you can see there's very little risk here, and there's very big reward if it was to finish in the extra place. Now, it is worth noting that this was a real live example, and I'll be able to show you that in just a second as well. On the extra place then, you can see you'll be losing £10 because it's not won. You'll be gaining £12 because it finished in the place. On the exchange, you'll be gaining £9 because it's not won, and you'll also be winning the lay bet on the place because the exchange takes it from the normal places. As we know, the bookmakers are giving you an extra place, so the lay bet on the place wins because it's not finished in what would be called the usual places. So you'd also be winning that bet there. So, for example, if it finished in 4th, or if the extra place was 5th and 6th, this is really what you're aiming for. And you'll be gaining £22 there. So you can just see there's very, very little risk here, if any, and there is big reward there. And this is scalable as well, so it's all stake dependent. Let's head over to OddsMonkey onto the extra place matcher and show that this was a real bet. Okay guys, we're now on the extra place matcher, which is located on a website called OddsMonkey. Now, I will put a link in the description. You're more than welcome to sign up using that link. Once you come over to OddsMonkey, you'll be going over to the matcher section and down to the extra place matcher. Now, this is going to locate all the bets and show you exactly what stakes you should be using and what your qualifying loss will be, and also your extra place profit. So let's quickly run through it then. As you can see on the left, you've got the horse's name, you've got the each way stake that you'll be using. You can also adjust all of these by entering a different number in here. We're just going to leave that for the time being. You've also got your odds here and the place terms. And this is for the exchanges here. The ones in red are the lay stakes for the win lay and for the place lay, and how much your liability will be there. Now, you've also got something called implied odds here, which we'll go into a little bit later. Now, just to make you aware, this was the horse on the table that I broke down all the maths. This was the actual horse here. As you can see here, the qualifying loss, if you remember, was minus 18 if it was to win, and we worked it out that it was actually you were going to break even if it was to lose or place. you've got to factor in that this takes in consideration the commissions from the exchanges as well. If it was to finish in the extra place, we had it as 22, it's roughly the same at £21.82 if this horse was to finish in 5th place. So what we could do now then is just go and simply place that bet and hope that it finishes in the 5th place. Okay then, so just briefly going through the implied odds and how this actually works. These are the implied odds for the selection finishing in the extra places. That's the definition by Odds Monkey there. Now, how this actually works is, if we take the qualifying loss, which is -18 pence, and we times that by the implied odds, 120.54, just do 120, we can see that that equals 21.6. Now that would be our extra place profit. So this is how many times we could repeat this selection before breaking even. Now, to prove that this is profitable, if we actually go over to Betfair then and find out how many runners are in the race, there are only 16 selections in the race. So essentially, you've got a 1 in 16 chance that this finishes in 5th. Okay, so if you run that more than 16 times, mathematically speaking, it's going to finish in that place. Obviously with variance it might not, but mathematically speaking, if you find any implied odds over 16, you're going to be profitable. As you can see here, this one's getting there, but 10, this was the real big one there at a 99% match. If that was 100% match rating, the qualifying loss would be 0, so it's very close. The implied odds we get is 120.54, which is absolutely brilliant. We're looking for anything over 16, we've got 120, so I would be advising to place this bet on as it's very profitable. It's also stake dependent, so if I was to put £100 each way in this box here, we'd be losing £1.83, which is very minimal, for a chance to win £218. Again, you can obviously scale this up. I don't really recommend placing more than £100 each way absolute maximum, but if you've got a couple different accounts on a couple different bookmakers, I mean, you can just see how scalable this really is. Losing £5 for a chance to win £654. Now, a big disclaimer here. I did just mention that any implied odds over 16 on a 16 runner race would be profitable. Now technically that is true. However, because there can be some bad variance, I'd be looking for implied odds of at least 32, giving you a little bit of a buffer in case you do encounter any of that bad variance. So you've just got a little bit of breathing space really. Now anything above 32 is brilliant. The higher the implied odds, the better really. So I'd generally speaking be looking for about double the runners. You can go, if it anything over 16, you can do that, and technically that is profitable. But just in case you do get hit with some bad variance, as I said, maybe looking for a little bit of a larger number there. I thought that's worth mentioning. Now, also, some bookmakers are quite generous. Sky Bet, very generous to say the least, paying out sometimes 2 extra places, sometimes 3 extra places, and even 4 extra places on big events such as Cheltenham and the Grand National that just finished not that long ago. Now, there is another way to hit the extra places if they are paying out multiple extra places, so I thought I'd go through that just now with you. Now, this isn't technically a profitable horse at all, as the implied odds state here are only 11, and I believe it's a 14 runner race. Let's have a look. It's now a 13 runner race, as there are some dropouts. So this technically isn't a profitable horse here. As you can see, the implied odds being 11. The name is Company Minx. So let's just find Company Minx here. The lay odds here are about 13.5. There's only £1 available, so we'll be saying about 14. Well, that's on the place, 14 on the place. So that's actually come down a little bit now, so it's now at 12. But what we can do Because laying the place is laying the usual place, which would be laying 3 places, therefore you've got 4th and 5th as the extra place, we can actually lay the 4th place. So what that would do is that would turn this into being 5th would be the only extra place, and you know we're laying against 4th. Now the odds here for Company Minx are 7.8, so let's pop that in here. 7.8, and would you look at that, the implied odds have now spiked to 36, so this is now very profitable. Now bearing in mind you've not got 2 extra places now, you've only got 1, you've only got the 5th place because you're laying against the 4th place. So if you were to come in here and lay that, I'd be pretty confident that you'd get that at 7.8. It might even come in a bit because there's a little bit of a discrepancy there, so it might even come into 7.5. And you can see there, for a £2 qualifying loss, there's £87 in profit. And again, this is scalable. I know that's a little bit larger this time, being £20, just because it's a higher back odds horse. But look at that extra place profit there. Now, bearing in mind, you will need a lot of liability for bigger odds horses, but you can just see how profitable it is. If you're not confident, just start off very small. Whether it's, you know, £5 each way, £1 each way, you can start off as small as you like until you sort of build up your bankroll and get a bit more confident. Now, it is worth mentioning that there is a risk of ruin with this strategy. What do I mean by that? That means essentially, you know, going bankrupt, having no money left. You know, the qualifying losses have added up and you've got no more money to place bets. That's only possible if you're not, you know, if you're not using bankroll management effectively. Bankroll management is very crucial in this strategy. For example, if you've only got a £500 bankroll and you're placing bets that are, you know, this probably isn't the best example because you've not got the money to lay it here, but if you're placing bets on, maybe you've got £500 bankroll and you're taking £50 qualifying losses, it's only going to take a couple of them before you've got no money left. So just be smart with it. If you've only got, you know, £500 or whatever, just take, you know, £3 QLs until you can work your way up to be able to take, you know, the £20 QLs, the £50 QLs. So just work your way up very gradually until you get more confident with the strategy itself. Okay then, that's how the extra place strategy works. What we've covered today is how the each way bet actually works, how the extra place strategy works and how the maths play out. Also how to locate the bets and place them, and also how you might be missing some opportunities that are right in front of you that don't initially look profitable, but after manipulating the place market actually are profitable. So just to end the video then, just to sort of back up what I'm saying, I do have an actual live example here. Well, I say live, it was a couple of days ago. Today's date's the 11th. This bet was actually placed on the 9th, which was Grand National Day. On the 4:15 at Aintree, it was a horse called Accelerator Express. Now what we done here, we put an each way bet on of £17, so it's 34 in total, and it did actually finish in the extra place, which was 5th. If we go over to the exchange, we can also see then it's a bit muddled up here, but essentially you can see here that we've won the lay bets on the place, and we also won the win bet here. Now what you can do, you can plug in the numbers here into the each way extra places calculator, which I'm going to do just now. So the back odds 41, the total stake was 34, paying a 5th. We laid the win here at odds of 57.22, 2% commission, always remember to put that in. And then we laid the place here, that was at 8.32. I'm just going to average that out at 8.5. So we can see we had a £4.38 loss, and if it finished in the place, that was £148.62, and that's what we profited there.